What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 21, Breaking the Seal. I'm Eddie. With me, we got Ghost.
We are officially legalized, 21 years old. This is the Ghost you already know.
We're 21 weeks in. We're 21 weeks young, and we're still grinding. We're still putting that content out there for y'all every week. This week we had opportunities, get into that crypto knowledge. You know what I mean?
What you know about that crypto?
What do we know? We don't know a damn thing, but we wanted to know.
We want to know. So if you guys are interested in knowing about crypto, stick around.
Yeah, we got that going on. We always hear these chihuahuas of Wall Street barking up. They got quiet. Where the hell y'all at?
Where you at?
Where you at?
Where you at?
So now that y'all are quiet, we're gonna actually talk to people that know what they're talking about and see what they see.
He
what
knows.
They've done. And it's not only just guesses. He's actually had some failures as well, but that's what makes you get better. You invest in the right things, right opportunities, and you get better when it comes to that, and financially literate, as people say. Especially that's one of the things, man.
Yeah, and he has a lot of knowledge that, of course, we talk about crypto as the main topic, but he drops a little bit of knowledge on other areas as well, the housing market, credit, and stuff like that. So this is I guess, full course, crash course.
It's a financial literacy episode. We'll probably have a couple series, but this week's beer of the week, we had a chance to stop by the folks at Big River Brewery. So we're going to be trying their Intemperance. So this is going to be a let me see if I want to say it right, a Montmorency cherry barrel aged sour ale. So it's a sour ale.
Okay,
we're gonna be trying
Hell
it.
Yeah.
So it says our barrel aged cherry sour is a refreshingly light wild ale, distinctive funk and tartness. So it says that there's a lot of great flavors in here. Cherries from Michigan.
Oh, okay.
King Orchard cherries. So
yeah,
let's try it out. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Ghost. This is the brew.
Yeah.
Cheers. Yes, sir.
Cheers, bro.
Let's check it out. Breaking the Seal, episode 21.
And I think they just released these, didn't
they
bro?
just released. This is like their summer. So their curbside summer is up, open right now. Oh, I don't want to get this shirt dirty.
What you doing down there?
I don't want to get this shirt dirty, man. This
Damn,
RGB Strong shirt.
Look at that.
If y'all want me to bring back this shirt, let me know too.
Yo, that shirt's pimp though.
We'll bring it back if we need to.
I think we need to, bro.
We need to bring back these shirts. RGB Strong. There's a little
Damn,
plug right
son.
there. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. But we're gonna try this right here, Big River Brewery. Huge shout out to them. I got a chance to speak with the owners. I know, there's have something going on in July. Hopefully we can coordinate and get them on. So
yes, sir.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers, brother.
Happy weekend. Oh
wow, that's really nice.
So you could taste the sourness already right off the bat, but it's
not
not as
though.
bad.
It's not too sour.
And it smells good. Like like the last time we had a sour, it smelled like shit. I'm not gonna lie.
But no comments. No, but this sour is not overpowering. It does weigh on the tongue a little bit, but it doesn't like burn the shit out of your tongue, right? Like maybe like one of those Sour Patch Kids. Love them. But what I'm trying to say is not that sour. It's a good
dude.
sour.
It's perfect. Like it's not too sour, but it has a lot of fruitiness. The cherry, you could taste the cherries are really, but it's not like too overpowering. They got it like down.
And I think what also too kind of helps not bring up the sourness is that it's not too poppy either, right? That's why you didn't really see the foam on yours, right, as well. So I think had it been a little bit more foamy, a little bit more bubbly, so to speak, you would probably get that more intense sourness. So other thing too, it's not too bubbly, right? It's kind of
yeah, man, it just goes down really smooth.
Yeah.
I think it's a perfect combination of sourness and the cherry. I want to try to get a hold of I know they have a lime one as well.
And they also had a Piccadilly, right?
Piccadilly.
Dude, I saw that one. I was like,
man.
dude, I want to try that one.
Those are going to be sold out right off the bat, and everybody loves it. Quality is always amazing. They stepped it up a little bit with a different flavor this time around. But other than that, man, I like trying out these other beers as well too. So
definitely
see if we can try to get a hold of that.
I think 100%, dude. I want to try that Piccadilly. But in regards to this cherry brew that we're having right now, definitely the flavor I would say is kind of at the very end, right? Initially, get the little sour ting, but then at the end, that's when you get
the dryness type.
The dryness and whatnot, and then at the very end, that's when you get the the real flavors, the cherryness and whatnot. At least that's the way I'm picking it up. What do you think?
Yeah, like that's what I mean. Like the sourness and the cherries, they just make a perfect combo. Like they got it right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like it doesn't like
It's a good blend because right,
yeah, it
it's
doesn't overpower each other. It just goes down smooth. Like I feel like yeah, man, this is a perfect summer beer, bro.
yeah, yeah. Because right, it's you have a little sour and you have a little sweet, but the balance is really good. They balance each other out, and that's what I'm saying. It's not too sour.
Yeah.
But yo, man, I mean, we got the grading system. I don't know if you want to take a few swigs before you come to conclusion, but
Yeah, I
I
just need
think
one. I just need a few more.
I think I already know what I'm gonna give this one. It's gonna be in the high up
It's
there.
above average, of course, man. It's good as hell for a sour. For a sour, like one of our, like usually with
Yeah,
our sours, they're a little too dry at the end. Well,
yeah.
some of them that I've tried,
I think yeah, I know
or
what you
they,
mean.
either or. But this one right here, I think it's like refreshing. It has the flavor. Um, Far, they're out of far. Trying
Straight
to,
up.
what I want to try to not be too biased. You know what I mean? But I'd give it I'd give it a solid like 8.5, maybe 8, like around there, 8.59 around there.
That's honestly exactly what I was thinking. I was like, you know what? Like, and look, I'm trying to be as real as I can. I mean, of course, they're based out of Far, so I want to give them a solid 9, right? You know what I'm saying? And I think they're up there, but I do think it's maybe like 8.8. How about that? How does 8.8 sound?
Yeah, that sounds good because at the same time, I don't know if I like cherries, but I don't really like cherries. So I think that's why with a lime one, I think the lime one would be a little bit more improvement. I wish we would have had that one. I think we have some people holding on to some for us.
But no, man, this is a solid brew. Definitely, yeah, of course, it's summertime. It's definitely summer beer. I think this is one more though that it's kind of like a nightcap, right? You know what I'm saying? Like it's not really one that you would be sipping during the day, kind of
Yeah,
maybe. I think this is more like if you're maybe like a kind of like a house party. Well, maybe not even a house party. Like you're kind of just again, it's a nightcap. It's towards the end of the night. You're trying to have something kind of chilled and nice and tasty before you go to sleep.
yeah,
That's
man.
the way I'm kind of vibing with
I
it.
guess the way that the process also says here, it says the results is an amazing complex beer with distinctive funk, cherry flavor, aroma, hints of wine, tannins. I hope I'm saying that right, and oak. Enjoy
Yeah.
fresh or cellar properly for a different flavor profile. So we got it. We got it as cold as possible too. We had it in the fridge for a while. But this, yeah, man, I can see why. So I guess the way that this process is, and hopefully we can get them on and ask them about this process, with the lime one.
Yeah.
But pretty much they use a barrel. I mean, that's what it is. So something like
And
that,
yeah, maybe that's why I think going back to the whole it's
like a
not too
wine process.
yeah, it's not too bubbly, right? It's more
Yeah, like I get, like if I could compare it to something, it would be a wine. Yeah,
that's exactly what I'm saying. Maybe I'm getting that vibe, that nightcap vibe too, man. Because wine. You drink it. You drink that at night. You don't. I mean, unless you're hardcore wine drinker. Shout out to you wine drinkers out there. Respect. I'm
but I
more.
think they would enjoy this. Yeah, if
No,
you're a wine
I
drinker,
do think they would enjoy this too, man.
this is a good beer. I like it. Yeah, 8.5, 8.8 is good.
I give it an 8.8, man.
8.8 is pretty solid, and it's one of those. Yeah, definitely. Like I think maybe even with like a good meal, you could have it. It's not too filling.
Yeah.
Like you could have a badass steak and down one of
I
these.
think that's a steak or like maybe even like grilled chicken. Nah, no. I think more steaky.
More steak because I think the lime one would be more for like the
chicken.
chicken and the
Yeah,
seafood.
definitely.
This is more like I think, yeah, it kind of has that. But dude, good stuff, man. And I know,
yeah.
we were big on Marvel. So one of the things that happened this week, Loki dropped, and there's a lot of stuff that's happening in the
Yeah,
Marvel
man.
universe, man. Crazy stuff
Hell
that I want to
yeah.
see, and a lot of storylines that I really like. I like right off the bat the Timekeeper.
The timekeepers, yeah, there's 3 of them. Supposedly, one of those timekeepers is supposed to be Kang, bro. Supposedly, I think they showed a picture of one of the timekeepers, and it looks like he has kind of a helmet like Kang does. Which, I mean, supposedly, I do think Kang is going to be one of the main villains in Phase 4, Phase 5.
I think they're saying in the Ant-Man and the
He's
next
gonna
Ant-Man,
yeah,
he's gonna be the main villain there.
But I feel like he should be more of a main villain. But again, I don't know, man.
I don't really know the guy's story, but I heard he's like a time traveler. But
Yeah,
I don't know, man. It seems weird to have that. Maybe there is some other intentions going on, but I don't know. It was really cool to see all these theories pop up again because we got a little drought with Captain with the Falcon, so the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because like there wasn't really a lot of interesting stuff going on that affected the timeline. But right off the bat, episode 1, we hear Loki. They explain like
Yeah,
you're after Endgame, or pretty much that little scene in Endgame.
And I think Tony the Tiger, bro, shout out Mofo needs to come back on and jump on one of these podcasts. But he was mentioning too that it's kind of a good point that he made, I think, is that Winter Soldier and the Falcon was more just Earth, stuff, like internal stuff. Like it's not really like the
universe, like the humanizing type of thing. It wasn't like politics.
And I was like, yo, man, that's important though, man. Everything that's going down on Earth is relevant to right now, but also the future too. But he was like, nah, I mean, it was just too just earthly, right? And it's kind of true, right? Even in a way, WandaVision was kind of earthly in a way. But I do think this one's already kind of more towards the multiverse. It's basically more broad, I
like the magic aspect,
magic aspect.
Like, well, then, I mean, even at that, like that's kind of what I like the most out of it is like I mean, of course, people didn't really like that his character, the character progression type of thing from like the 2012 to whatever his character is now. But I just like the fact that
Loki, you're saying?
Yeah, like that episode pretty much was. But the thing I'm going to is like the Infinity Stones. I like that aspect. How they just said like, oh, the Infinity Stones aren't worth the shit,
Yeah. He's like, oh, we use those as as
paperweights.
Paperweights, bro. So no, that's a good point to bring up, right? Because again, the Infinity Stones were such a big aspect in the Endgame and Infinity Wars. But I guess it just shows that there's higher things than that. And it just shows. I don't know how many like
they reeled me just when I thought I was out. They reeled me back in. Like,
bro.
That was a terrible fucking impression.
Dude, because like there was like a dozen Infinity Stones just like in that freaking in that drawer,
bro. They're all the same. He's like, yeah, people walk in on this all the time, like with these all the time. Like, what the fuck? So right off the bat, I was like, damn. And then Loki, he is kind of like a delusional thing. But I like this episode because it kind of gives you that perspective on him, like, from 2000, because I remember even seeing a couple days before I made sure to see Endgame, and that was one of the scenes that I made sure to watch because I was like, yeah, so I bet you're gonna start off with his mindset there, and then it progressed to the point he saw his future and he just decided to change. But the thing that I'm hearing everybody talk about is like that there's gonna be a lady Loki.
Oh, I heard about that too.
So I was like, whoa.
I never heard about that.
So like I guess they made it like a few years ago. I think they made like another interpretation of Loki, and this was a lady Loki. And I don't know. We'll see, man. Because why would you? Yeah, that's a good point, right? Like if you're gonna say, especially end the episode like that, the way that they did.
How'd they end it again? I forgot.
Where Owen Wilson is like, hey, I'm gonna keep you on because we want to know. We need you because we're trying to get you.
Yeah, the variant's you.
Yeah,
right?
And I was like, well, why wouldn't you show his face? Like, right?
Yeah. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
At the end of the episode, why wouldn't you show? Like, you already know it's him.
If you know it's him, why aren't you showing his face? Right.
Why would you show his face? Like, right off the bat, that makes you question a lot of things.
That's actually See, you know what? That kind of makes sense now. When I heard, oh, there's a what was it called? I guess a female Loki. I'm
lady Loki or something.
What? But I guess it kind of makes sense now.
And it would be cool to see that. And then they're also saying that Kang, I mean, you're right. Like there could be a battle between timelines, something like that going on.
Well, see, also too, what's up with that French kid when he had like that blue gum? Yeah, that was kind of strange too. For me, that kind of like, I guess for me that's like Kang, but I don't know because he's blue. That's the only reason why I make that connection. I don't know.
But also Loki's blue, like. Remember, he's supposed to be one of the frost. What is the frost giants?
Oh yeah, he is right. That's right.
So I don't know. It could be either that. But again, they're playing games with us. See what the fuck.
So yeah, really, that's why I'm kind of like I'm not even gonna buy anything because I remember I was super about all the theories for WandaVision and like. Only like one of them was legit, dude. Like everything was completely wrong. So that's why I'm like,
that's crazy, man. Like they're already coming up with theories for fucking Black Widow. Like they're saying that that it's black that wasn't Natasha that died. It was her sister. Then her sister had one of those face things. And then also they're saying, oh well, her sister's probably gonna die because Wanda's wearing a vest in Infinity War that she's wearing in one of the trailers. So like everybody's trying to like come up with these theories for Black Widow, but I don't really think it's gonna be too complicated.
I don't know. Maybe it could be.
I
I
mean,
don't
maybe
know.
they're trying to like one of the things that I really like to see is that they're saying that they made a clone of her and that she might be the Taskmaster.
It
That
could be,
because
man.
and I was looking at a photo and I was like, hey man, the Taskmaster kind of looks like a female, like
It
body
probably
body
is.
proportionate, like stuff like that in the
Yeah.
trailers and stuff like
So
that.
you're saying there's
It
like
kind of looks like even Scarlett Johansson like posing, like sometimes. So
so
I
you're
don't
saying
know.
there's like a lot of Scarlett Johanssons?
There's like maybe a bunch of clones,
It
maybe a
could
bunch of Black
be.
Widows.
It could be. That could be a whole nother storyline. What it is, right? Black
Yeah,
Widow's its own
but that's the
storyline.
beauty of it, man. Like we love these fucking movies and shows, so we'll see what happens with the next one, man. And fucking Loki, waiting for that one to finally like get to the point where it's gonna be at. So
Yeah, no, and I think going real quick, man, going back to what you're saying,
mhm.
2012 first Loki to where he's at now. I mean, his character arc has really been pretty distinguished compared to a lot of characters. And again, evil, and then I guess anti-hero, and then I guess we'll see where he goes from here, man.
Bro,
But
I just forgot. Like we're talking about it, but it's gonna come out on Wednesday, and this that episode's gonna come out on Thursday, so we're gonna be like late.
nah, bro, but it'll be one episode, and then like people haven't seen.
Yeah.
I didn't see it till Friday.
Oh, you didn't see it? Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't see it till yesterday.
Oh, you didn't? Oh,
So
okay. Yeah. So we're
so
good then.
it's fine. Yeah, bro.
Yeah. So hopefully with this episode, we can get more details and see what the hell's going on. See if we get a Lady Loki. But I like where it's going. I like where the storyline is heading. And it should be interesting. I like Owen Wilson also on screen, man. It's cool to see him back
Yeah,
on
dude. I was like,
screen.
is this guy? I was like, I know this guy from somewhere, dude.
Yeah.
Who the fuck is he? And I was like, oh shit, that's him, bro. He hasn't been on the fucking camera for like years. It
man.
feels right.
And I feel like even at that, I think they're already talking about Wedding Crashers 2, like
Oh,
something
shit,
like that. I
bro.
was
Hell
like,
yeah.
yo, if Wedding Crashers 2 happens,
I'm down.
it better not. I'm down, but it better not be one of those fucking dumbass
Just to make
sequels they
money
always
type
talk
shit.
about. Like it's got to be good. Like
I'm
I
sure
don't
it'll be
know, man.
decent.
But yeah, man, I really appreciate everybody joining in. This episode, we have Cesar Saenz. He's gonna be talking about a lot of good stuff with crypto,
Dropping some knowledge on
dropping
y'all.
some knowledge, dropping some opportunities that you can possibly get into. We're gonna hope to have him on, a couple times like we did with Noe. Have a crypto series and just talk about that and see what's going on. But right now, as of now, like crypto has been on the decline. But it's also a good opportunity if you're looking for something to invest in because it's low right now.
Yeah.
And projections are there's a lot of good more than bad, essentially.
It seems,
Essentially, right? Yeah. Like we'll
There's
see.
no crystal ball, as he says.
There's no crystal ball, but like even at that, I try to ask him like, hey, is there any trends that are like legitimate, like year after year? Like, hey, like how usually when it comes to business, when the summertime is to be slow because everybody's out of town, they're doing their things, and that's kind of what I asked them. So we talk about those things. So appreciate everybody. Don't forget to like, subscribe our podcast. You can find them on Apple Music or Apple Podcasts. I'm sorry, you can find them on Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you can find podcasts. You pick one. If you have one that's already your favorite, feel free to go to subscribe and search for us there. So we'll be there. We'll be here. We're on YouTube also and on Facebook and Instagram. So keep an eye on out for us. And we're growing. We're gonna have some more guests throughout the weeks, and we'll see y'all soon.
Yes, sir.
Let's get it.
Let go.
All right, everybody. What's up, everybody? Welcome. We've got another episode for you. This week's guest, we got Cesar Saenz. He's going to be joining us and giving us a little input on the crypto community and how everything is going, especially down here in the Valley. I know you have a good relationship with some people around the area and a good portfolio, like you were mentioning, right? So tell us a little bit about your background, man, and how did your I guess you could say it's kind of like a obsession, right? How did it get with crypto and all that? How did you get really hands-on with it and everything?
Yeah, definitely, man. Like I said, I mean, I was, to be honest, I was introduced into crypto maybe about 7, 8 years ago, actually by my brother Oscar, because he had seen it in a video game, that they were using, Bitcoin. And he told me about it. I'm sorry about that.
No worries, man.
This keeps on falling from the stand here. Well, he had told me about it, and like everything, I just told him, I was like, hey, I'm not, interested in it. I don't believe it, right? It's it's fake money. What can you do with it, right? And so like everything, it went over my head. And so fast forward a couple years later, I ended up meeting, my business partner now and my mentor as well, Jaime, which he actually introduced me back into cryptocurrency. And then I was surprised that, somebody of his, age was actually, learning about crypto, right? And knew about Bitcoin and what the other coins, out there as well. And so that's kind of what got me back into it. But with my background, I used to be a vet tech. I used to actually work at a veterinary hospital. I did that for about 7 or 8 years. And then I moved to a second veterinary hospital. But at that point, guys, like I said, my background, and now it's been into the credit, and as a credit consultant, I understood, that credit was the foundation, for a lot of the things, right? And especially in business, business credit and personal credit has to be good if you want to go ahead and borrow money, and then use that money, leverage it, right? Which is what I tell everybody to do with credit. It's not, to get in debt with credit. And that's what a lot of people unfortunately do, right? We all we don't have the education sometimes from the school, even from our parents, and finance is one of the things that, we try or I try and teach people, how to actually, get into it wisely, right? And not make the mistakes that we've made. And I had bad credit when I was young, and because I lent it out, to my parents, and I heard a lot of horror stories, people, hey, I co-signed, I did this, I did that. And, I try and tell people, hey, if you learn how to use it, it could, potentially help you out in some of these opportunities, right? And perfect example, man. I mean, if you guys follow, Bitcoin, last year, Bitcoin was at 3,900, around February, March, last year. And just a perfect example, if you would have had a $10,000 credit card at 0%, I mean, this is free money for a year, right? Because they don't charge you interest for a year, 12 months. And you would have dumped those $10,000 into crypto from that credit card using the bank's money. You would have had like 2.5 coins of Bitcoin, right? Potentially. And at the price right now, just fast forward a year, how much would you have actually made if you would have sold it at the spike of, $65,000 almost? You would have had almost, $200,000 with a $10,000 investment from a free 0%, credit card from the bank, And the whole thing is that those are the things that a lot of people don't understand, right? We don't.
And one of the things I was gonna say, I mean, yeah, I mean, of course, like, and I guess in this episode I'm be playing devil's advocate, right? In a sense, right? Yeah. Because like, I mean, who knew really 100% that it was gonna spike that much? I mean, to an extent, right? That's kind of what the market was showing, that it's going to increase. But I mean, in regards to like making an investment like that, it is pretty risky. I mean, how do you I guess justify that, or how do you come to that conclusion? Hey, look, you know what? If your credit's good, $10,000 invested here, you have a I don't know 50, 80% chance that you're gonna hit big. I mean, how do you make that conclusion? You know what I'm saying? Because like a lot of people, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people want to invest. Right. Yeah. But then it's just kind of like, fuck, but it's risky. I mean, either I'm going to stay flat or it's going to go down, or maybe, I'll make a little bit of money. Right. Like in regards to Bitcoin right now, I mean, it's been stagnant for the past, maybe month, 2 months. And I know people saying it's going to go up, but I mean, when is it going to go up? I mean, do you have any answers to that?
But that's
I mean, and like you said, you're exactly correct. There's no crystal ball, right? So there's nothing that we can predict because of the markets. And so here in the office, we do have people that have been studying the charts. There's not a lot of history, behind Bitcoin, compared to the Forex market and stock markets, right? There's about 10 to 12 years right now behind Bitcoin. But for most of the opportunities, that we're seeing, we knew that Bitcoin had reached, back in December of 2017, the highest of 17, almost $19,000, $20,000, right? And we knew that those prices were gonna, come back again. And just like you said, it depends on how you want to invest and how you want to get into the cryptocurrency. Because I myself, I'm a holder, right? I'm a hodler, right? I'm gonna hold my crypto and I'm gonna sell it, at a price that I think is fair, for what I've purchased. And, some people want to make the quick bucks. I know right now there's a lot of the meme coins, right? The shit coins, like everybody calls them. And people are thinking that they're going to be making, hundreds of thousands of dollars if they buy it, very cheap because of all this hype. But you really have to do your research on crypto, right? Like everything, they're the white papers. Every coin has a utility. And what is it that you see in this coin, right? Like Ethereum with, the smart contracts, what is it that these coins are going to really do? And is it going to be sustainable? Dodge, all these coins that people just, because of the hype, right? And they're not really doing the research. Same thing with stocks. You got to look at the companies, right? And one of the things like you mentioned, it's like, how do you know that it's going to go? Well, I didn't know, that it was going to go. I just knew that Bitcoin was on sale, right? Because we had seen it at a $20,000 and it kept coming down 14, 12, 8. It stayed between 8 to 12,000 for a long time. And then once we started seeing those prices, I was like, man, if I'm going to be using, and another thing, just to kind of go back on the credit, a lot of people, $10,000, you might ask, well, what's the credit card payment, right? Because that's another thing. If I'm going to take out this money from this credit card, how much am I going to have to be paying on this card monthly? Well, at a 0%, you could probably even get an $80 a month payment, right? Until the interest hits. So if you carry that, payment over for 12 months, you're going to be about maybe $960 to $1,000 in a year, right? That you have to pay, but that money is going straight to principal because there's no interest. So you're not losing that money,
And real quick, man, if I may just kind of jump in real quick, because I barely kind of understood the whole concept of interest rates and what that means. And I don't know, I think it's kind of something not intuitive initially, right? Can you explain a little bit how, maybe for some of the listeners out there so they understand? So again, if you have a 0% interest rate, basically you don't have to pay interest for a year, right? But let's just say you have a 5% interest rate on $10,000. Can you do like the math on that a little bit, just so we could like understand it?
So in credit cards, guys, the credit cards charge you usually anywhere from a 15 to a 25% annual percentage rate. And that's a very good question because a lot of people, we don't know how to calculate interest, right? And people freak out because the main thing that people tell me, that's a monthly interest rate. I'm like, no, it's an APR, annual percentage rate. So you have a $10,000 card. Let's say this card is already charging you a 24% or 25%. What you guys have to do, and I'll get my calculator here just so that we can do real quick math. For a $10,000 credit card with 25%, so times 25%, the annual interest that is going to charge you is $2,500. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see it, $2,500. But what you still have to do to find out the monthly interest is divide by 12 months so that you can get your monthly interest, which right there at that point is $208 of interest. And so when you start understanding like, hey, this credit card is going to be charging me this plus the principal, then you already have to calculate, right, that factor in and say, hey, I'm going to have to dish out at least $300 of my own money, right, if this card is already charging me interest. But we like the ones that don't charge us interest, which is the 0% for 12, 14, sometimes even 18 months. But you have to have a good tier on credit to get approved for those. And one of the things right here in the Valley where we're from, well, it happens everywhere. A lot of people have bad credit scores, right? Because your credit, what it means is the ability to make payments on time. So when we don't know about how credit works and we don't know how interest rate works, well, we're actually losing a lot of money because of these interests, right? Interest on homes, interest on loans, interest on cars. I've seen these guys get approved for, Santander is one of the famous banks or lenders that will approve cars, and they're at 28, 30% interest on a used vehicle. That's $20,000.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean?
Man.
You end up paying double. And so when I tell people when credit is your foundation and you know how to leverage it, you get all the perks. You're going to get the free zero, no interest. You're going to get a 2% on a car. If we do numbers, guys, and it goes back to numbers. I love numbers. And I always tell people, you got to know what you're getting into. Most people are desperate. They want a car. They're just going to sign as soon as they hear, oh, you got approved. Well, yeah, but at what cost? If you get a $20,000, look at this difference. If you get a $20,000 vehicle, used vehicle, times a 20, let's just go 20%. That's, something more realistic. That's interest is $4,000 a year, right? Let's say your average times 5 years. So think about this. Times 5 years, look at that. That's $20,000 in interest, guys, right? So you literally bought a used car for 20 grand and you got a 20% in APR. Now you paid another 20 grand. So it's like buying two vehicles. But if you say, hey, let me get my credit up before I go and apply for a vehicle, and even the credit unions right now, they're giving a 2%. So times a 2%, this is literally what you would pay in interest a year. Look at that. From 4,000, you're paying $400. So $400 times 5 years, you're only going to be paying $2,000 of interest. I mean, look at that compared to 20 grand that you had to pay over those 5 years. And that's why when people, reach out to me like, hey, Cesar, I want to get my credit repaired. And sometimes, the price that I give them, they're like, oh, I can't afford that. And it's like, well, if you can't afford it, you're unfortunately going to be in this position for the next, couple of years paying high interest where you're going to lose more money in the long run, right? Instead of dishing out 1,000, 2,000, whatever it is. And mind you, when we're repairing credit or when I'm repairing the credit, we're taking debt like $10,000 off, collections, student loans, medical bills. I mean, you're paying literally a fraction, what you actually owe in reality. And I told my clients, what do you rather pay? You rather pay me $1,500 or you rather pay your $15,000 in debt? Oh no,
I know
well,
that was one of the things that you told me too that stuck with me was the medical one. I think it was you and your brother were explaining that like how you can just call and be like, yo, you can just kind of what is it? Yeah, you can just kind of like you can settle with them or dispute it. Settle it with them, and they won't even do anything at all. It's pretty awesome to know that. There was one I'm paying like $8 for it. I'm like, what am I paying $8 for a month? Like, they kind of already disputed it. It's already gone, but. Yeah, man, those things go a long way. So as far as with the crypto side, I know you're saying about credit and all that stuff. Like, is that kind of why the U.S. government is like? Is there a lot of people doing this? Is there, is there everybody taking advantage of this kind of like opportunity to do that, or how is that working? Is that kind of why the government kind of wants to regulate it now?
Well, and they are. You got to understand too. Crypto had been in limbo, for a long time, and the reason why the government is already stepping in is because now it's in mainstream, right? Now it's in the big, the big companies that are coming into play. Less than 1% of the population right now is involved in crypto, and it's not too late. It's still a really good time because what it's going to probably do in the next couple of 5 to 10 years. But the U.S. always wants, Uncle Sam always wants their money, so they're seeing how these people are getting they're becoming millionaires. Some people are becoming billionaires. It's ridiculous in this space, and of course, they're going to want, their fair share. And the only thing is that, since it's a global, digital currency that can be used globally, it's been very difficult because like right now, if you go to Mexico already they've been adapted a little bit even faster than us. They already have banks that will actually buy you your cryptocurrency. They'll buy you Bitcoin, right? And they'll give you pesos for it. Wow. And so I tell people, like, if I were to go on vacation and all of a sudden, I have $10,000 that I want to go and sell. I mean, how does the U.S. track that, right? How do they know that I sold $10,000 and I converted it, into Mexican currency and I use that money over there, right? There's no way for them to know. And that's why it was one of the things that had been, like I said, in limbo in the early stages. But Coinbase, which is the most popular wallet that a lot of people, even myself, we use, they are already reporting everything, every purchase that you do, every transaction, where you send it. If you want to cash out, that's how they're going to basically tax you on the capital gains now, meaning that, hey, you bought this coin for this amount of money, and then a year later you sold it. Well, there's that capital gain. They're treating it like real estate, right? And so that's what a lot of people right now are not understanding, that, you're going to basically, have to be reporting that you're buying cryptocurrency now. And then actually on the taxes, if you guys are, paid attention right now, they're asking these questions. Hey, have you purchased cryptocurrency? And it will be a felony if people actually don't report, right, that they bought cryptocurrency in the past, 3 years. They're going back 3 years right now. Okay. So, I mean, so that way, you guys also understand. And the whole thing is like, what kind of route you want to go with your crypto portfolio, right? Like I said earlier, if you want to hold it and just, wait and see where it's going to, reach at the highest that it can, or are you going to be one of those that are going to be buying and selling it and trying to make, a quick buck, here and there if they do go up, whatever coins you have at the moment. And so it just depends on the individual. But I myself, I'm holding, I'm just, I'm always buying. Like I said, guys, I'm always buying, if I have $10, $20 extra or something.
In it, right.
Exactly. I'll go into Cardano, I don't have too many. I have between about 5 to 10 different, coins in the portfolio, but Bitcoin is one of the big ones. Ethereum, I have Ethereum. ADA is the new one that I started putting in some good money.
Which one was it? The newest one that you're putting in?
Yeah. What are the top five? What are your 5 to 10 coins?
Right now, the Cardano is one of the ones that I think is going to do very well. Okay, I recommend you guys do a little bit of research on that coin and the white paper. What there's a lot of videos right now on it, but I mean, 6 months, 7 months ago, it was close to, I'm not mistaken, like 20 some cents or something like that, and now it's at $1 something.
Oh wow.
But it has the potential to go up to $5 in the next couple of years, and even sooner. But like I said, we don't have a crystal ball. These are just predictions where people think that, but it has a really good use case on it. So I mean, Cardano is one of them right now. Like I said, Ethereum, Bitcoin. I actually got into a coin, and this coin, it's called BTCV, but it's a coin that's just started about a year ago. And the really good thing about this coin and what I liked about it, it has a 3 key security feature, and it's one of the first. It's called Bitcoin. It's called Bitcoin Vault. And the reason why we like it, or I personally liked it, is because it can be retrieved in a 24-hour period. If you actually get hacked, or if you send Bitcoin to a wrong address, you can recuperate it. And that has not been seen in the industry, in the cryptocurrency. That's one of the flaws that you have with crypto, that you can't recoup it. If, like, let's say you have Bitcoin right now and you want to send it to somebody, and somebody sends you the Ethereum address, right, instead of a Bitcoin address, and you send your Bitcoin to that Ethereum address, it's gone. You can't recoup it. That's it. And there has been people that have lost millions of dollars just by putting a wrong letter or putting a wrong number on the address where they're going to send it.
Dude,
And
I've heard about that. Like, there was this guy, he was doing
Mhm.
something with Bitcoin. I think he was trying to find his password, and he only had like 2 tries left.
Oh,
So
yeah,
is that
the
kind
famous
of,
story.
is there like a forget your password type of option on that too, or what?
You see, and what happened, and yeah, I mean, what happened in that case, in that specific story, before we could actually. Sorry, man, this keeps on.
No worries, man. I can edit
Trying to fix it here. Yeah, I have it here on the laptop.
it.
So yeah, on the story for that, what happened was that this individual had his cryptocurrency stored, but in a desktop. Okay, and whenever you get your 10 security keys or your words, right, to protect your password, unfortunately, he doesn't remember where he left that code. And so it's pretty much impossible. And I think in that specific, wallet that he had, it only gives you 10 tries, and then it auto deletes. It won't let you get back into it if you don't, and that's for security purposes. But if he misplays that code, the original code with all the 10 words, the security words that it asks you, then there's really no way that nobody can get it. And unfortunately, that right now, his portfolio, I don't know how many millions of dollars he had, in there, because he had a lot of Bitcoins. And you got to also understand, there's only going to be 21 million coins, right, of Bitcoin ever mined, ever produced, right? And we'll go into mining and stuff like that in a little bit. But there's about 18 million right now that have been already, mined or created. And they're saying that about 7 or 8 million of those coins have been lost already. Okay. And by lost, I mean that people have, sent them to the wrong addresses. People can't get back into their wallets. So they're stuck, in wallets that they can't, recoup, that they can't retrieve. So then how do those come back into existence? And so that's why right now, anybody that holds Bitcoin, I mean, and for the future, like I said, I mean, it's going to grow. It's going to, because why? The scarcity. There's not going to be any more, Bitcoin ever produced. And so all you got to do right now, like I tell people, is just hodl it, right? Just buy it. Just buy your Satoshis. It don't matter if you can't buy a whole coin. Go buy $10, go buy $50, go buy $100.
Excuse me, but there's also like countries, right? Like there's like what was the country in South America?
Venezuela, I think.
Venezuela, right? Dang. So there's already countries that are already adapting to this. Like you said, Mexico a little while ago. So Venezuela, that's kind of like one of the next steps, right? So how does that also affect, like, as far as the market for it? Like, does that increase it more? Because I know the first thing that I remember hearing about Bitcoin was somebody actually buying with like pizza. So that's kind of where
that's when it became real, right?
Like where it actually became kind of like the ball started rolling, like, oh, what? And then you've been seeing stuff like NFL athletes getting the option for that, like the Carolina Panthers. I think they're providing that option now. And
Shit, that's
yeah,
crazy, dude.
so there's a lot of opportunity with that. So like, is that kind of like helping it now that it's, I think you said something about it being like substantial or actually like in existence, like is that kind of helping it out a lot more?
Well, it's going to help it out, but you also have to understand, why the U.S. doesn't like crypto, and like why China is banning as well. Like there was a new ban, that they've been banning it for years, but
Wow.
one of the biggest things is that you know the dollar is losing a lot of value. So it goes back to understanding how the world right now, and Nixon took the gold standard. There was no more backup for the dollar, and I believe in 71. Okay. And it became the petrodollar, meaning that you could only buy oil with the dollar, right? That was the condition. That was the way that it was supposed to be. And if I'm not mistaken, there's ways already where they're bypassing that, right? They're bypassing the way of purchasing with cryptocurrency, right? Because now they're accepting that. And so I know that that's why one of the main reasons too is that, we want the dollar to be strong, but they're not going to allow, the way Bitcoin was created, by Satoshi Nakamoto, which we don't know if it was one person or an entity,
Right,
right?
like even at
Another.
that, like somebody doesn't even know, like, yeah, that's like a faceless person, right? Like no,
Exactly.
it's just a name, but nobody really knows if it's a team or it's like a Madonna. Like, well, not a Madonna, it's kind of like, I don't know how to explain it, man.
It's
It's
like
a
the
weird,
ghost, you know?
yeah, he's like a
Yeah,
ghost.
it's like a ghost. And again, what his vision was, and there's an email that's out there, the first email that he sent, about his vision or their vision, if there was an individual or multiple, was that they wanted to be, a peer-to-peer, right, transaction where no third party was going to be involved. Because here with the banks, guys, unfortunately, sometimes when I even go out and I want to retrieve, some amount of money where it could be, I don't know, $20,000, $30,000, they'll question me. They're like, hey, well, where are you getting this? What are you using this money for? Why do you want to pull out this much amount? It's like, dude, it's my money, right? Like I can do whatever I want, or I'm supposed to do whatever I want with my money, right? And it makes it very difficult, right? And they're always taking fees, and when you're sending wire transfers, when you're doing all these transactions, credit card processing. And so again, it was a vision where, hey, we give the power to the people, the people can, rely on each other now. And that's technically how the value of Bitcoin has gone up, right? Because I always tell people, look, the US dollar, what is it? It's just a piece of paper, guys, right? It's a piece of paper. It's
Yeah,
like a
exactly.
napkin. And,
Exactly.
but why does it have that value? Well, it has that value because we ourselves are trading, right? And we're accepting it as a currency, right? We're like, hey, if I sell you this cell phone for $100, well, you're going to give me the $100. Same thing with Bitcoin, right? What validates and what gives it that price? Well, it's the demand that, hey, now people are saying, hey, well, shit, I want to, sell you my cell phone. I want, 0.000235 of Bitcoin. I'll do that transaction because I want your Bitcoin. And so that's one of the things right now that, we started seeing that now, big companies are coming in, there's actually banks, and I don't know if you guys know this, and this is why I love it now, because there's actually banks right now and lending platforms that are actually using your Bitcoin as collateral, guys, which that had not been seen. This happened last year, right?
Oh
So
wow.
these platforms, what it is that they're treating crypto as real estate. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with HELOCs. Like when you have a house and you want to go borrow against it, like when your house is paid off, you can go to the bank and say, hey, I want to borrow money against my house, and they basically do a loan for you, right? They do a HELOC, a home equity line of credit. Well, that hadn't happened in the industry with crypto, right? Because if you wanted to get money from crypto, you had to sell it. But some people like me, like, well, we don't want to sell it. But I was like, but I'll borrow against it. Like if you lend me money, like if you say, hey, I have a whole Bitcoin right now and it's worth, let's say $50,000, they'll lend you, 70% of that. So I can get $30,000 out, but they're holding my crypto as collateral, but I can use those $30,000 to either buy more crypto or to maybe invest it, right? To put it to work where it's going to be giving me something cash flow every month. And I don't really have to let go of my crypto, right? So those are the
Nice.
new platforms right now that we are looking into. And we do have one person. I haven't done it myself. I do have one person. His name is Paul in my group that actually was the first one, the guinea pig, to try it out. Now Yeah, it is with an interest rate. It's not too bad. I think he got
a
an
guinea
8%
pig in
a year.
a positive way or negative.
It's never positive or negative. You're a guinea pig,
No,
bro.
it's a positive, brother.
It ended up being
Yeah,
a
because
positive thing.
no, and the risk is, remember this, like once it's out of your wallet and it's in the control of somebody else, I mean, you could easily lose that, right? Like if
Yeah.
they, for whatever reason, come up with like, hey, unfortunately, the market crashed or this and this happened and we
And
had
I
to sell
know,
your Bitcoin,
well, sorry to interrupt, but I know that's kind of
Yeah.
what I think Steven kind of told me that the last time with y'all too, or something. Like he kind of said it
Mhm.
because I was asking him, hey, what happened with that group? Like, so is
Yeah.
that something that happened with the Ethereum? Like something happened where like some of the
Exactly.
mining. Tell us a little bit more about
So
that.
Yeah.
in the mining, brother, yeah, we got into a company, and this is us, coming in early into a company, which was basically mining, and we were basically getting deposits, on our investment. So we came in and we, purchased some Ethereum. We put that Ethereum into these mining rigs because mining is the way that cryptocurrency is created, right? Which means that you have these, computers that are basically, finding the encryptions of, doing these transactions. When somebody's sending, Ethereum or Bitcoin to each other, you have to have the key and you have to have the lock, right? And so the faster the computer, finds these code to be able to connect this and validate the transaction that you're sending, crypto to each other, they get rewarded, right? They get a percentage. And so sometimes you'll have 100 validations. So 100 computers are going to get a small little percentage of crypto, and which is the hash rate and all that these computers are doing. And so that's how we were actually getting paid. But unfortunately, when we went into this, venture with this company, mining rigs are very expensive because of the electricity to maintain. And you're talking about these companies having, thousands of computers, at a running 24/7, they never stop. So when the cryptocurrency prices started coming down, and we got in when Ethereum was probably like a little bit over $1,000.
Yeah, man, it was really like a good opportunity because I was even like, oh man, but
Yeah.
it was
No, and we got in at a good time, but unfortunately, the market started coming down, right? And so it got to a point where the company was like, "Hey, we're not really producing, enough, hash rate so that you guys can get your payments because the price of Ethereum it costs us more to mine than what is actually being produced at this point." So they basically said, "Hey, we lost, you guys lost, and that's it." And it was an investment which unfortunately we didn't have any control anymore because we were this illusion that we were going to continue just to be getting this, and the contracts for 3 years. So we were supposed to be getting, drips and drips and drips every month of Ethereum. But, unfortunately things didn't go our way. Like I said, I'm not here to tell that I've gotten into everything and I've made 100%, return on some of the,
there's always going to be
risk.
hiccups. Yeah, man, there's going to be hiccups but it's going to make you better at the end of the day. And it sounds like, especially now, like what you're mentioning, like I before I even asked the question, like you were already mentioning, there is going to be those faults, but it's at the same time, you got to also do your research, and there's going to be more positive than I think negative when it comes to crypto because it's always changing. And that's the beauty of the internet, and I think that's why a lot of these the media is really scared of it. And a lot of these, the government entities are because, well, especially the US government and in China, of course, because there's just so much that you can do with it. And they're trying to get everybody used to, still used to the whole, the dollar is the word or the gold is the word. But really, there's like other stuff that's already blowing up, and I that's kind of cool to see, like Dogecoin, that whole thing, man. So tell us about that. It started. Like did you get on top of that before, or what?
I didn't get into Dogecoin, to be honest with you. Okay. I didn't get into Dogecoin. I haven't gotten into any of the hype coins right now.
Hype coins. That's what they're calling them. Hype coins. Yeah. Like I know Barstool is another, or what is his name? Yeah. Dave Portnoy. He made the shit coin, the one that you mentioned earlier, right? Coin, So man, tell us about those.
And trust me, like one of the best things that I can recommend to anybody right now, man, is just buy and hold it, man, and treat your cryptocurrency as gold and silver. Okay. If somebody out there is going to promise you, these kinds of returns, by doing this and that, there's really nothing legally right now that you can do. If somebody, if you send your crypto to somebody, there's really no way that you're going to be able to retrieve it, right? So I've learned from those experiences in these past 3 years that, I did go into 2 companies, and unfortunately it didn't go the way that it was supposed to. After that, I was like, hey, I'm not sending my crypto anywhere, right? I'm just going to hold it going to purchase it, continue to purchase it. And that's my strategy in my personal way of thinking right now because of the, the things that have happened. But all these other coins right now, same thing, man. I'll share you a little story. I didn't get into it. There was one right now that's called Shiba Inu. One of my
What was
buddies,
it? Shiba Inu?
Shiba Inu, a couple of weeks ago, he had told me about it. And I asked him, I was like, well, what's the white paper? Like, what's the research that you've done? He's like, oh no, well, I just heard that this coin was going to shoot up in the next couple of days. And I was like, man, unfortunately, I'm not going to go into that kind of a uneducated risk, right? Like, I'm going to try and look at, the best, possible,
logical,
logical, for me. And he came in, he said he actually put in $900. And within about 3 weeks, when he contacted me again, his portfolio was at $33,000, bro. Okay. So he put in $900. 3 weeks later, I'm like, dude, I'm at $33,000. He sent me the screenshot and I was like, congrats. But I also told him this, take profit. Like, because those are unrealized profits. Everybody flexing their bank or their wallets right now. Yeah. You haven't taken profit. So what I told him is always 10x. If you already 10x your money, withdraw it. So he listened. He took about $10 to $11,000 out, and he left the rest there. A couple of days later, about 3 to 4 days, the coin tanked. Right. So now he has less than $1,000 in his portfolio, just because, like I said, he got in at a good time, and he was one of the few that capitalized. But how many people, invest their money? And the reason that they don't want to pull out is because in the back of their head, they're thinking, man, this coin could go higher, right? It could reach all these other limits. But if you don't really understand the market and you say, hey, well, there's not enough supply, right? There's not enough demand. This coin doesn't really have anything, the utility is not there. Then people are not going to continue, right, to purchase this coin. So then the price is going to devaluate. It's just going to go down because nobody's interested anymore. And I do believe that with Dogecoin and all that right now is Elon Musk has a lot of, what's it called? Not
like
power, but just
like
influence, right?
Leverage, influence.
And one of the things I did actually briefly read is that Dogecoin. I mean, supposedly there's not a limit on it, right? So it's like, for example, Bitcoin has a limit, right? 21 million, right? But this one doesn't. So it's just like, I mean, the supply could go forever, never, and just never go up because there's, again, it keeps on going. Like, there's not a limit. Damn. And so maybe they're going to put a limit, but until then, I mean, it's kind of one of those things, right?
Until they can finally like figure out what it's like worth physically, like kind of like how we're saying, like the pizza stuff. Is that kind of what it is?
Well, no, like,
it's like he's saying, like the US dollar. I mean, the Federal Reserve, bro, they're printing trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars right now. If you guys noticed it, gas has gone up. The rents are gonna go up. I mean, it's inflation.
Yeah, I've had a few of my clients that are restaurant owners saying that the meat has gone up for them. They have to raise the
lumber, dude. Fucking cars too, bro. Houses, man. Everything's gone up.
We're in construction, and I've been seeing the prices is ridiculous. 30-40%, from a week to another week. We're like at 300% on lumber right now and the OSB boards. But I always tell people, like, you have to understand, the whole, market and why you're going to be getting, like you said earlier about Dogecoin. Right now, like, there's no cap, right? And they can just continue to create these coins, right? Same thing as the dollar. The dollar, they continue to print. Well, unfortunately, it doesn't buy you what it bought you 20 years ago, 50 years ago.
And I think a lot of people are starting to realize that too. Like those studies about millennials. Yeah, dude, we're comparing that millennials to the boomers. Like when they were the same age,
bro. We're getting it hard, bro.
They're like, oh, you could like a lot of the boomers had houses already because of this and that.
Because everything was cheaper, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
The dollar was worth more, right?
I think that's the good thing about crypto, because like the opportunity is endless, but at the same time, we don't have those guidelines, or we don't have those like you were saying a little while ago, like those barriers, those we there's still so much that you can do with it. There's so much opportunity.
I have two questions real quick, man, for you, if you don't mind. So like what medium are you using right now to purchase these coins, right? Like, for example, I know you mentioned Coinbase. I think there's crypto.com. I think there's a few other. Which is the one that you're using right now to buy?
The main one that I use has always been crypto. I mean, Coinbase. Yeah, crypto.com is another one that I actually, Coinbase Pro. That's another one too that you can, put from Coinbase. But Coinbase is the main one. There's other, exchanges that are not, based here in the U.S. A lot of people also use those just because there's not a lot of regulations. But like I said, everything gets tracked through the Coinbase. So, if you're going to basically, go through the smoothest process, it's probably going to be that one, for anybody that's, interested in coming into. And I still recommend it. But I always tell people, you just got to make sure that you follow, whatever, because they themselves, they'll send you a report at the end of the year. Okay. Coinbase will say, hey, this is the list of what you bought. If you sold anything, if you moved it around or anything like that, then that's something that you have to also make sure you have in your books, so that exactly, where you're at in that category. Because like I said, man, right now, there's people that are becoming millionaires overnight, with just investing, a couple $1,000s, which is crazy, right? Of course, they're getting in on those coins that unfortunately, sometimes they might not be able to, pull out all that money from those exchanges, but at least, they're making some good returns, right? And like you said, right now, the millennials, are the ones that are kind of jumping, on this more than, the older people. But there's a huge opportunity, man. And unfortunately, it's just the education, right, that we haven't had. I've even gone to banks right now, and I've talked to some of the bankers because, I do other relationships and stuff. And I told them, I was like, hey, are you guys accepting, crypto? Are you guys, what's that? I'm like, you guys haven't heard about Bitcoin? And it's like, well, no, what's Bitcoin? And I'm like, how can you guys not even know if you guys are the bank? Like, it's already moving. Their Cash App already, is incorporating it. Like, and I'm still having these conversations and trying to educate people. It's like, hey, this is the future. There's Bitcoin ATMs, there's cards. Like I personally right now, guys, through my friend Paul, the one that I mentioned earlier that did that loan against his crypto, he actually introduced me into a card called the Fold card. Okay. And it's actually, I just got it about 2 days ago, man. And I'll tell you guys about this card and I'll send you guys the link. I'll send it to you, Eddie, and that way you guys can use it.
Yeah, man.
I got this. This is a Visa debit card, right? So you guys can see here. Visa debit, and it has my name, but this is the Fold card, and it's a card that gives you rewards for every purchase, and they give you Satoshis. So that there's cards that give you like a 1% back or 1.5% cash back, or points for travel. Well, this is the first debit card that actually gives you rewards in Bitcoin when you do any kind of transaction. So I literally have my app. You go to the app, and I went. I used it 3 times yesterday because I barely got this card, and my transactions are here. I don't know if you guys can see there, but they have a little spinning wheel, and what you actually do is whenever you do the transaction, it'll give you a little wheel to spin, and it gives you different prices. And they're trying it out. Okay, this is one of the first companies right now, which I like because, it's a debit card. You don't need to apply for it. It's not going to run your credit or anything like that. I did have to purchase this one because this one gives you more rewards. This one cost me $150, but it's a one-time fee. But I'm pretty sure that those $150, I'm going to make that rewards pretty soon, pretty fast. And then after that, I'm just, like I said, hodling Bitcoin. Why wouldn't I want to get, more Bitcoin for every transaction that I'm doing? Even if it's 50 cents, even if it's $1 worth of Bitcoin, if Bitcoin goes up, that's going to also go up. So the whole point for me is just accumulate as many Satoshis as I can for the rest of, what I have, because I do believe that crypto is going to, be, the main thing that we're going to probably be using in the next 5 to 10 years. A lot of people think that the dollar, is going to last forever. But I'm like, guys, if you start understanding, how everything's kind of moving right now, it's a little scary. It's a little scary. And
even with the NFT market, man, the NFT market is scary too. Where I see a lot of people already jumping on that. Like even that Rickroll. Have you heard about do you remember the Rickrolls? Like when you would go to a YouTube video and it was like a Rick Astley, "Never Gonna Give You Up." That song.
I don't remember that one, man.
It was like a internet thing, but he's making it into an NFT now, and then there's just so much out there where like people are starting to appreciate it. And I guess the metaphor that I saw somebody give me a good example on was like kind of like game skins. Like it's kind of like that when you're pretty much doing that with gaming already. Like you're giving $10 to Activision to get this much money, and that's how they value $10. And if you really think about it, it's kind of like that. And then you buy the gun, you buy the skin, and it's gonna get to that level. You know what I mean?
Like there's like a limit on the amount of guns that they have. So like if you have that gun, you can maybe sell it for like more to like someone who wants it.
I don't think it's gotten to that point, it could be the future where you could start you could start trading your Call of Duty guns and shit like that. that's the beauty of digital. Like, and it's funny because you're talking about the banks. Like, I mean, I hope, I mean, if you're talking to local banks, they're barely getting used to like digital marketing stuff. They don't even realize like they're barely making their apps. And that's kind of like sophisticated to them. Like, trust me, I've talked to a few of them, and like they don't even realize that they need to do some stuff. But when it comes to crypto, that's like probably way over their head too.
Yeah, you're saying, right? Like, what's crypto?
And I don't even think, and I don't even think any of these. Well, maybe, I mean, there's some millionaires here in the valley that are taking that opportunity, but I don't really hear about it.
Yeah, maybe
because there would be kind of, especially the way that it is. It's kind of like an influencer type of thing. If somebody's on Bitcoin, they kind of have a lot of leverage, and I don't really see that. It'd be cool to see maybe the Toros accept like Bitcoin for a game or something.
Maybe we'll see
later on down the road. And it has to do a lot of guys. I also do believe that the older generation and they're very skeptical, and if they can't feel it, if they can't touch it, that's usually what is something that they're not gonna put their money in. And that's one of the feedbacks that I usually get from the older. I'm like, hey, you invest $1,000, and they're like, okay, but when does my Bitcoin get to my mail or to my house? I'm like, no, like it's a digital currency, like you have it on your phone. And they're like, oh, so I can't get something like physical, like a coin, and I was like, no. And so that's why a lot of the fear, I think a lot of people is like, well, I'm not gonna put anything that somebody can hack or somebody can retrieve from me or something, because I don't own it, right? I don't have it physically. But those are some of the things that we have to, just like I said, understand how people think in terms of how we're already looking at things. Because I don't mind. I mean, for me, I'm not gonna want to carry the wallet. I'm not gonna want to have the cards or the money in the future. I would just want to have everything here and just be able to pay with my phone, just even, anywhere that I want to purchase. I just want to make sure that I do it here. And that's one of the things that I see, that a lot of people, they want to have the physical, thing in front of them. But
another thing too, man. I mean, the old generation, dude. I mean, they didn't grow up with the technology we have, right? I mean, man, they didn't have handheld devices what we have today, man. I mean, it wasn't until they're like 40s or something like that. At that point in time, I mean, their minds have already been shaped, man. It's all about.
But it's also another thing that like they probably like humans, we were creatures of habit, and that's one of the things that we developed over time since you were back in like the 40s, I guess, or the 60s, when this kind of structure kind of happened, where it's like, after the World War II, pretty much it's just like, stay at home mom, stay at home dad, this and that, blah, blah, blah.
And
of course, like that don't exist anymore.
Yeah, everything's, dude, the world's so much different than it was, even 10 years ago, man. And then 20 years ago, dude, like it's just crazy.
And it's going to change. But the thing that just gets me really trippy is just like how China is kind of like, don't do that. The government is kind of like, hey, we need to do our own thing.
Well, I think it's going to your point, Eddie, though, right? It's because they want to control. They want to have, I don't know, is it the yen or something like that? Like they want to have the yen, like this is the basis. This is the base. They don't want another, I guess, currency coming in and kind of fucking shit up in a way, right? I mean, that's probably the same thing with the US, right? One of the last questions I had, real quick, man, was, so, I mean, in your opinion, right? I mean, right now, of course, Bitcoin for the past maybe like month or so has kind of been, in that 30,000 range.
Correct.
I know it was at 60 at one point in time. I mean, you think this is one right now, then like it's like kind of like a little plateau. Potentially it'll go back to 60, maybe even more. I mean, it's one of those things, right? But like, I guess your experience in market has shown that there's been points where it stagnates and then it kind of goes back up. And I think a big thing about Bitcoin, at least with you mentioning, I didn't know that there was a cap of 21 million. And that I think that is pretty important, I guess, to realize, because it's a cap. It's limited, and when there's limited amounts of things, it's just like it could go up definitely 100%. It's not unlimited supply.
Does that mean it's already trackable though too? Because like seasonal, like hey, in March it's gonna be a high season. Is it like that? Kind of like what Ghost is talking about?
Like trackable in what way?
Like, let's say, okay, hey, during July through August, we always see this trend happening since 2016.
No, it's very difficult. I mean, we are looking at the markets, and actually Gerardo, he's the one that, because we have presentations every Saturday, right, here in everything that we do. We talk about credit, which is my specialty, right? So we talk about credit, we talk about Forex, we talk about crypto. Like I said, we're in construction, so that's one of the markets right now that we're going to really, explode this year as well. But we literally go over everything every Saturday, right? And we have our core group. And Gerardo was actually looking at the charts. He's predicting that Bitcoin's going to drop, and we're hoping, okay, in the next couple of weeks, it could drop anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000. Okay,
Oh shit.
and that's going to be the time that we're going to come back and buy. Okay, that's the time that we're going to come back and load on it, because we might not see it at those levels again, right? And the prediction is that by the end of the year, if it comes back, because right now we might be entering a bull market, or sorry, the downtrend on Bitcoin, because if it explodes and it goes back up, they're saying, or Gerardo is predicting, that it could go over the $100,000. Okay, once it goes back up, because there's not going to be any resistance, right? Once it kind of goes back on the trend, and that's why right now you have to also understand that people like, let's say, Elon Musk, that loaded up, right? And the reason, he's doing some of the, I mean, he's doing some smart moves, right? I mean, he came in with a $1.5 billion, and he literally doubled his money, in a couple of weeks, guys. Okay, he even made more just by doing this move than what his company has done, in producing, the electric vehicles, which is another thing that, it's probably going to get big in the near future.
Oh, yeah.
And so again, you got to understand how the markets are going to play. But for me, and for the team right now, is just buying on the dips, right? Every time that Bitcoin goes down, is just, hey, accumulate it. I had seen a post, and this was last year, and I had seen a post like around December, that there was a person that every day he was buying $10 worth of Bitcoin. That was every day. He would go to his Cash App, and just, it's like, hey, am I going to go buy a burger or whatever? I'm going to spend this in stupid, things that are not going to really produce for me. He bought $10 every day, so that he had a total of $3,650, right, for the whole year. And that portfolio, since he had been buying it like that, was worth around $14,000. Okay, so those $10 a day, man, now he had a $14,000 portfolio because of how Bitcoin was actually moving. And that was last year. So I can only imagine right now, just by him being disciplined and saying, hey, I'm going to be putting in this money every day. I mean, that was a great return, and that's the thing I tell people is like, man, it don't matter if you can only afford $5 or you can only afford, $10, just buy as much as you can and just keep it, right? Because eventually it's going to go back up. And it goes back to like understanding. A lot of people, when they come into they don't understand about the Satoshis owning a little bit and how it works. I kind of explain it always like a gold bar, right? If this is a kilo, right, of gold, you're buying grams, right, or ounces. You're not going to be buying, if the whole kilo right now is worth $50,000 and you don't have 50,000, well, you're just going to go buy a little bit of, ounces or grams of the gold. But if the kilo of gold next year goes up to 100,000, well, now you basically just doubled your money, but just by holding what you had. And that should be the goal, right? You should be able to, sell at whatever point you want, but don't sell when it's coming down. And a lot of people made that mistake. When I entered into crypto, I had heard horror stories. People was like, oh, don't get into Bitcoin because I lost money. I'm like, well, how did you lose money? Oh, no, it's because it started going down and I sold it. I was like, well, why did you sell it? Well, the fear of everybody, once it's on a downtrend like right now, is that, oh my God, I bought it at 50, right? Because a lot of people had that, they hyped it up, and they came in when it was at 50, 60,000. So the fear of people that don't know is like, oh my God, I'm already negative, right? I've lost. Well, not really, because you're still holding the same amount that you purchased. You just got to wait for it to go back up and above the price that you purchased it to make a profit, right? To sell. And, it don't matter if Bitcoin goes down to $1,000, you still have the same amount of Bitcoin and it's going to have to bounce back up, right? And that's the way that I tell people is like, if you still hold it, you haven't lost. But when you start freaking out and you're like, man, it's already at 20 and I bought it at 50 and you sell it because your fear is that it's going to go to zero and it's going to disappear. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're the one that's literally making that decision and you just lost, $30,000, what you could potentially have in the future. But that's, again, the education that you have to tell people is like, hey, don't freak out. It's going to bounce back up like everything. There's a market already. But it outperformed everything, guys. Think about it. Right. In stocks, when have you ever seen a $65,000 stock?
Yeah, no.
I mean, and stocks have been out there, in certain companies for 20 years, 20, 30 years right now, since the 90s. And it's like, Tesla, Amazon, all these guys, when they started, it has outperformed everything right there, and I mean, it's ridiculous to understand that or to see that in 12, 13 years, Bitcoin has gotten up to $65,000. And they're predicting in the next 5 years, it could go up to $500,000 each coin. Just like you were saying, because.
So when you're saying that, like, to get it like gold and silver, because I know one of the things that everybody is like, talking about is that eventually like the economy is going to collapse, maybe
Yes.
and I feel like they always say that like every month, like it's going to collapse tomorrow, the economy's going to
Yeah.
collapse tomorrow. So is Bitcoin going to get affected by that, like if it does collapse or anything like that, or like you're saying, like keep the gold and silver, that's how it's going to be pretty much represented? Do you think that's what's going to happen?
Well, it could affect it. Like I said, I mean, I don't think it's going to disappear, right? Or I don't think it's going to be, that big of a play. I myself, right now, when we're talking about gold and silver, through Gerardo, we've been collecting a lot of silver, guys. That's another thing right now that I'm gonna, recommend for you guys to actually purchase and hold. Silver it's a physical, asset that you're gonna actually. We were in the meeting, and that's why he came to tell me they were going to discuss the silver. Here as a group, we're buying weekly, right? We're buying a lot of silver right now. It has been going up, but people don't understand the potential or the way that silver should actually be, running at right now. Silver should have a purchasing power of 1 ounce, around four to $5,000 worth of purchasing power right now. Okay, when the economy collapses, that's why China, if you understand, China has been actually acquiring silver and gold, and they do not sell. China does not sell 1 ounce of its silver because they understand that if the economy collapses, whoever holds the more gold and the most silver is going to be in charge. Okay,
and it's not going to be just like a US thing, it's going to be an overall like world thing, or if it does collapse,
yes,
right? Like that's what
yes.
everybody's saying.
Exactly, man. And right now I was showing. I actually we bought a 100 ounce bar. So that bar is pretty. It's about
Oh,
6 pounds. I have it there in the other office, and we've been accumulating for the past year. And one of the things that I tell people is like right now it's around $27-$28 an ounce. When usually you get it at the dealers like us, we're getting at 30, 32, depending on what dealer we meet. So they still have to make a little bit of profit. But the same thing, people are like, hey, well, are you trying to sell it? And I was like, no, we're holding it because we want to have, that at least. Because if you think about it, Eddie, and I always tell people, what really do we own? Like, if you think about it, I still don't own my house. I have it under, it's I'm paying it, but I don't own it, right? My vehicles, I don't own none of my vehicles. They're all leased under the companies, right? Because I use it as a business expense, as a business write-off. And I basically, I'm always trading them every 3 years. So I don't even own that, right? I mean, you might own, a little bit of, things here and there, but something that really has value like that. And that's why I tell people, like, most people don't have gold or don't have silver, don't really have anything. Even myself, I use a lot of my credit, right? I have a lot of credit cards and I have a lot of, high limits now because I've been able to build that. But if the credit card companies, for whatever reason, decide, hey, we're going to shut down your cards, well, where's really my money, right? My money, is in the credit. I use it, I flip it, I do other, but it's not something that I really have. And so when Gerardo opened up our eyes last year, and he himself, he's been buying silver for the past six years, if I'm not mistaken. He's like, guys, we got to understand what money really is, right? And the dollar, like I said, it's just a piece of paper. And if it continues to lose value the way it is, well, guess what's going to gain value when the economy collapses? We're going to go back to the standard, right? Which is gold and silver, and that's God's money. We talk about it. Why is it God's money? Because it's in the earth, right? And that's what's been used. It's been used for years. It's been used for centuries, right? And that's what people tend now. We go back to gold and silver. Why is gold right now almost at $1,800-$1,900 an ounce, and why is silver so cheap? One of the things that he's also taught us, and we talk about, is that there's a lot of utilities with silver, right? They use silver for a lot of things, and one of the things that Elon Musk really uses too is silver for his rockets, right? Mm-hmm. So what is he doing right now? They're distracting, right? They're saying, hey, go into crypto, right? Why? Because if we get everybody over here, instead of actually seeing
that's a good point.
The other picture, if silver goes up, well, guess what? Elon Musk is going to have to pay a top price, right, on that. And he needs that at a cheap price. And nobody's talking about it, right? Nobody's talking about silver. But I'm here to tell you that, hey, we understand what could potentially happen. It might not, like you said, it might not happen tomorrow. It might happen in a month. It might take another year or two. But if the collapse does happen, we want to be prepared, right. And crypto is one avenue, but we don't want to discard this other possibility. And I tell people, if you guys can get a hold of silver, buy the rounds, buy the bars, there's 5-ounce bars, 10-ounce bars, start looking for it and start putting a little bit of money, like I said, into that, because what he has told us, there is purchasing power behind that. It meaning that silver an ounce will not be worth, like, you can't sell it for 5,000, but it's going to be the purchasing power that if you have, a 10-ounce bar, it could buy you a $50,000 property. You see, it could go back to that
Yeah.
potential. And
Dang.
that's what we were like, wow, that's really, and we've seen videos, like I said, everything. We're always trying to absorb
And
and
be
learn from
proactive. It
everything.
looks like it, man. You're always
Yeah.
trying to be proactive with everything.
Yeah,
Exactly, man.
that's what you got to do nowadays, man.
And
Yeah,
before we head out, man, where can people
yeah,
find you and your information, things like that? That way they can
sure.
keep in touch and see what y'all are doing as far as in that community. Do you have like a
You,
page or a group or something?
Yeah, no, I can give you my phone number, and like I said, I run the Hyper Credit Solutions, which is the company for the credit. We have the Quantum Designs, Quantum Homes. That's the company right now. We're actually going to be doing that development that I mentioned in FAR, 75 townhomes, which is one of the bigger projects for me, and part of this
Wow,
group.
congrats,
But
dude. So
yeah, dude,
far in
I'm
far,
excited.
what part of far is that gonna be? Is that gonna be
It's on Minnesota and Sugar Road, and between the
oh
expressway. Okay, there's a new construction there. They're making a couple of residential homes, and then they're doing some fourplexes. But right now the market is perfect, man. And
dude,
one
that
of the
area
things,
is
guys.
growing, bro. Like we had I passed
Uh
by to
huh.
go get Big Daddy's burgers the other day, and
Oh
dude,
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, yeah, man, there's a lot of good opportunity there. Even one of
Well,
my clients, he just opened up his furniture store around that area, and I told him, dude, that's it. That's the
Well,
spot.
and the thing,
Nice.
Eddie, too, man, is we got to educate everybody on how real estate works, man. If you guys follow Robert Kiyosaki, I always recommend, understanding the house hacking. It has gotten very popular, and a lot of people are like, "What do you mean house hacking?" Well, the thing is that you got to always make real estate as well work for you, man. We were taught, and I don't know if you guys, with same thing. Our parents, as soon as you graduate or you go out and live on your own, they're like, "Hey, get your own house, right? Get your own house." And when I had bad credit, when my mom had burned my credit and I was 22, 23, I actually went through a program to get my house, right? My first house. But through the whole program and understanding, some of the things that he was talking about, your first house is always going to be a liability. And I'll show you a real quick story, of how, most people don't see it that way. They're like, hey, but it's my house. I'm paying on it. It doesn't make you money. It's not really, it's putting you in debt because now you have a mortgage for 30 years. Like you have to pay this off in 30 years. So that means that you have to work and work and work to at least, come up with that monthly payment instead of you actually having something rented where that actually you can have cash flow, or it at least pays off for itself, which is why I'm going to go into the fourplex and the house hacking right now. We need to teach people to understand how we need to access real estate, right? Because if you go into your traditional, I'm just going to purchase a house, well, that's a liability, man. You're going to, and I come back with one of the clients or multiple people that I've actually dealt with. If you bought a house 5 years ago, think about it. You had to give a down payment, closing costs, all these fees, right? And you've been paying good, right? You were paying good until last year because of COVID. It was unexpected. Nobody knew that the whole world was going to go through this, right? So those people that bought a house 5 years ago, guess what happened last year? They lost it, right? Because they lost their job. There's so many people unemployed right now, and guess what happens after you lose your job? You're gonna have bad credit, right? So you're gonna go, you're gonna have a thing on your report on your credit for 3 years where you're not gonna, because it's a foreclosure, you're not gonna be able to get approved for another house, right? So what are they gonna have to do? They either have to go to family members or they're gonna have to go rent, right, in an apartment. And so, but everybody, it don't matter if there's a recession. There's always a need for a roof, right? You need a place to live. It don't matter if there's a depression, if there's a recession, you still need a place over your head. And that's
Right.
what we're trying to teach people is understand that, hey, if I can actually now own a fourplex instead of or a townhome or something like that, that's going to be something that I can actually rent, to my friends or to my family or anybody. And that's going to basically pay off the note. And I'm going to have a little bit of cash flow, or even if you don't have a little bit of cash flow, but you're actually living for free in one of your apartments, well, why not? That's mind
Mm-hmm.
blowing, dude. When you understand that, hey, the same loan that you can get for a house, the bank can actually approve you for a fourplex because a fourplex is going to cost you $500,000. And most people freak out. They're like, "Oh, I don't want to be in debt with 500,000," but you're not paying that debt. You have renters. You're going to live in one. You're going to rent the other three, and that with that rent, you're going to pay off the note. So you technically are living in your own fourplex, and you don't have to live there for years, man. You can repeat this, and you can do it, every 2 years if you need to, and you can multiply your investment properties because of these strategies. And that's some of the things that ourselves right here we don't know, because the bankers don't even tell you this. If you go for a home, people don't even know how to get into a house, right? And they follow the guidelines, but the bankers are there to just make the money. They're not going to give you
Mm-hmm.
your best options. They're not looking at your best interest. They're like, hey, how can I get this guy so I can make this sale so that I can get
Right.
my commission? right? And so here in this office, like you said, hey, where are you guys located? I mean, we're here in Edinburgh. You come to this office here. This is Jaime's. I have my office next door in the other plaza. I want to teach people. I want to change the mindset. I want to help the young, the millennials, because again, one of the biggest things that I always see is that we don't have enough cash flow, right? We don't have that enough, because opportunities, guys, are always there. There's always opportunities, but what do we need? We need money, right? We need money to continue to compound. And that's why I go back to, credit, because that's how I was able to get capital. I was able to build businesses. I was able to get more credit cards, more loans, more lines of credit from the bank at a cheaper interest rate. And then I put it over here so that I can compound and give me a higher return. And that return that I get from the investments that I'm doing, I'm able to pay out my credit. So what Robert Kiyosaki calls good debt. There's bad debt and there's good debt. Bad debt is what most people are in right now, right? They max out their credit cards, they max out their loans, and they're literally working so that they can just pay the minimum payment on these cards. And if you don't have enough, then the cards are going to get closed because you're not paying them on time. Good debt is when you actually take the money, like I mentioned earlier, from the bank and you put it to work, right? At a higher percentage, so that I don't have to stress about my payment on my credit card anymore. With the returns that I'm getting, I'm paying off the credit card and it's still making me a little bit of extra money. You see, and with that little extra money, I can pay off my cell phone without me having to physically work for that, right? Because the investments are doing that for me. And that's one of the things that I want to do here in the Valley, is change the mindset. And for people to relate to me, I relate to a lot of people in the credit situation, because like I said, 99% of the people, we have bad credit. And nobody has really taught us how to use credit this way, right? It's most people think that it's just for a house or a car, but no, that's not what I use, and that's not what I try and teach people. I try and teach people to invest it, right? To work with your credit. It's not bad to get in debt, but as long as you know that debt is going to be paid off with the investments that you're actually making and the cash flow that you're going to be receiving. And that's one of the things we are very fearful, because our parents, what did they tell us about credit cards? Oh no, don't get a credit card. It's high interest. It's high interest. I was like, how? If they give you a year with no interest? And then the simple thing that once that interest is going to start hitting on that card, guess what you do? You apply for a new card, another 0% interest for another 12 months, and you just move the debt over. You had that over, right? And now you have 0%. So I teach people how to actually have 0% and use the bank's money to compound. But the traditional thing is that when you get a credit card, first thing you go do is you buy a TV. You go buy clothes. You go buy furniture. How does that make you money? If I would have taught you, it's like, hey, go get a credit card. You just got to prove it, and this give you 10,000. I don't know. Go buy 10 laptops, and sell them for, if you buy 10 of them for 1,000 and you sell them for 1,200, you made $200. That's 20% on each laptop. You just literally made, $2,000 with $10,000 from this credit card. But we don't get taught that, right? And the system trains us to be employees, brother.
You're right. No, you're right. It's unfortunate to see that, but that's how it is. It's all like, you have to go to school, you have to get the loan, you have to be the doctor, and then you end up in that much debt, like you're talking about. And when really, you have to do things precisely, logically, like we're talking about. Because even when you're a kid, first thing you want to do when you graduate is leave. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's kind of like one of those things, man. But you're right.
And you nailed it, man. I'm right now about school. Like, I'm not against school. Like, I'm not against education. But what I do see, Eddie, is with my friends and even, family that I've had, is most people are going to school, but without a purpose, right? And they're just trying to get an education because that's what they're, taught, right? That the parents want them to go and do something. But I've talked to a lot of people that have come to my office and they're actually here now. We have a bigger group. Now we have about 30 in our group, but the main core group that meets here every Saturday is about 10 of us, the ones that are in the development and other stuff. But I had a guy and he was telling me, he's like, bro, I went to business school, right? I went to business management. I did my 4 years. And I was like, okay, that's, great. I was like, what do you know about business credit? What do you know about how to set up your entities? Like, it's like, no, I didn't get taught that. I was like, what do you mean? You don't know how to set up your LLC? It's like, you're literally gonna manage business, right? You're business management. And I was like, and how much debt are you in? He's like, oh, I'm probably like $60,000-$70,000 in debt because of student loans and all this other stuff. And I was like, man, how easy is it for the school to literally give you this much money? Imagine 60 grand, bro. If you would have gone to the bank and said, hey, I need a $60,000 loan, the bank's not gonna lend you that money. They're not. Because they know that you're not going to be able, right, technically pay him back, right? And so it's a risk. But I was like, if you would actually get approved for 60 grand to start a business, I mean, you could multiply that, bro. And I tell people, I mean, I helped a friend of mine, right? I'm sorry, I'm getting off the topic a little bit here, but I helped a friend of mine. He's a barber, and this guy making good money, right? He was cutting hair at his house. He's been my barber since elementary, and a couple of years. This has been about 6-7 years ago. I told him, I was like, why don't you start your own, your own shop? And he's like, nah, because expenses. I mean, I have to pay rent, I have to pay the light, I have to do this. I was like, bro, use a business credit card. I'm gonna show you, right? Go get a business credit card, and what you do with a business credit card is you buy all the equipment for your barbershop. But what are you going to do? You're going to rent the chairs, right? Because barbers that are graduating, they need a place to work, right? So what most barbers do is they rent a chair for $100 a week, right? And I told them, do 10 chairs. And if you hire 10 barbers and you're going to charge them $100 a week, well, how much is that per week? And he's like, well, that's 1,000. I was like, multiply that by 4 weeks in a month. Well, that's $4,000. That's $4,000. With those $4,000 that somebody's paying you, and mind you, he got a credit card. He maxed out that credit card at 0%, but he bought all the chairs, he bought all the machines, he bought all the mirrors, he bought everything with the bank's money. And then, mind you, he has these people working for him now, and he himself is probably banking right now at this point like $2,000 a week just cutting hair, bro. I mean, right now, you guys know that I'm paying about $30, $40 sometimes for my, for my whole, haircut and beard and all this other stuff. And I told this guy, I was like, dude, like, you're banking, you're making about $6, $7, $8,000 a month. And then you have all these people that are literally, here working for you. But it without him understanding, right, without him having that perspective of how to do these things, I mean, it's very difficult. But now that he knows and he's like, hey, dude, like, I implemented this, what you told me, we started doing this. I mean, the numbers are there. Now that the rent doesn't come out of his pocket, the light bill doesn't come out of his pocket. So it was just the fear of him not understanding, right, how business was going to work. But if you put that business plan together, and I'm not saying that, everything that you do, like, it's going to be this perfect.
It's gonna be successful. It's gonna take some progress. But if you're taking the logical steps, like you're saying, and getting people in the right direction, they can become successful. Like just spending wisely, investing wisely, and a lot of for good fortune will come your way, man. But dude, honestly, I appreciate it. Like I know we're gonna it's already like 1:10, an hour 10.
Oh, sorry.
I appreciate it, man.
It's good shit though, bro.
Yeah, we got a lot of good content, bro. But definitely appreciate your time. Where can people find you and follow you? That way we can, I know I think I've seen you on Snapchat. I think we added each other, and I see you go to like the expos and all that stuff too.
Yeah.
So where can people get to know you more and find out?
Man, my phone number
too, right?
Yeah, my phone number is 956-789-9649. That's my personal cell. Like I said, I always tell people just message me. I'll give you addresses. The address that I have is 4013 South Sugar Road, Edinburgh, Texas. That's here in the office that I have here in the plaza. And like I said, I mean, as long as people are, looking to come and learn, the doors are always open. I always tell people these Saturday meetings are very helpful. Just like I said, because there's just knowledge, out there that you can absorb. And it's up to you, whatever decisions you guys want to do.
We'll definitely have you on again in the future to see just to keep an eye on where everything is at. And then we can have any of your buddies on to talk more too and see where things are at. Because I know it's always changing and adapting, and it's always going to be something different. Probably in the next 3 months, man. But really appreciate your time, and man, keep it in mind, especially when it comes to the business part, because we're trying to get there too. So if we'll get in contact with you to start getting that.
Awesome, man.
But appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man.